romance book lovers. It's me, Kat. How's it going today? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about today's book. It's by one of my favorite authors who is also a friend. I adore her. Ugh, just so much love for this author and her books. She is amazing. The book today is Red Hot by Dawn Edwards. I can't even, I just want to sit here and gush about her writing. I feel like it was kismet. She reached out to me and said, hey, I'm in this group and we're in this group together and I'm a new author and would you like to maybe read my book? And oh my gosh, I read it and I was done for. Let me give you a little rundown on her previous books. The first book, Fever Pitch, is about Jessa. Oh my gosh, Jessa Cahill. I connected with Jessa on a level that really surprised me. I've talked before about how it's easy for me to connect with female characters because I'm a girl. And it just, to me, it's not hard for me to connect. I can find those little things that either I like or I think is endearing or, I appreciate in another person that it's not like me, but I appreciate it in them. You know how it goes. So I would want to be Jessa's friend if she was walking around the face of the earth. I adore her. The second book is also Jessa's book, and it takes, the first book we get quite a journey, and then slow burn, we get just soul deep journey for Jessa. And Drew, oh gosh, Drew is one of those characters, those male characters that he just hit me like a ton of bricks. I just loved him. And I realized in reading Red Hot, the book we're going to talk about today, how much I loved him because I got to go back and see him again. He just highly recommend those two books. So Dawn took a little bit of a turn. Red Hot is about Zoe. Zoe is Jessa's best friend. Zoe is amazing. Kick-ass chick. I loved her in the previous two books. This is her story. This is the story I never expected, and it was everything I could ever want for her. Red Hot was one of those books that I almost highlighted the whole thing. The way she crafts her sentences and the subject matter and the emotion, I just get it. It's just in my heart and soul. And so reading Zoe, who is so different from me as a person, I love that. And I love that I could still connect with her. And I connected with her completely differently than the way I connected with Jessa. Jessa was just like me. There was so much to her that was so similar to me and how I felt and how I am. And Zoe is completely the opposite. And yet, I just adored her. Zoe is so many things. Zoe is an extremely confident, smart, witty young woman who is also an incredible athlete and working towards her degree in marketing. The cool thing about these books and the way that Dawn has written them is that Red Hot, Zoe's book, runs in tandem and parallel to the previous two books, Fever Pitch and Slow Burn. So when you read Red Hot, you're going to remember everything that you've already read in Fever Pitch and Slow Burn because they're running along at the same time. And I loved that because, of course, they're told from different perspectives. Jessa and Drew's perspective for the most part in Fever Pitch and Slow Burn. And then now this is Zoe. So it's a different perspective on the same situations, if that makes sense. And I love getting other perspectives. Zoe is so funny. She's so damn witty. Oh my gosh. And it's funny, I want to read to you what she says about herself, which, you gotta love a girl that can describe herself this way. Salty bitch? Yes. Loud bitch? Sure. when the situation warranted. Psycho bitch, just that one time. Basic bitch, okay, I'll own that one too. She just is so, I mean, she's just everything. You have to read her. She's so much fun. She is also, and I find this so interesting about female characters, she is so highly sexual, and she owns that. She is not afraid to find her pleasure in a hot guy that she meets. She takes no shame in having one-night stands. That being said, though, and without giving away too much and going into too much detail, because this book is red hot, literally, she doesn't sleep with a lot of guys. That she messes around, but she doesn't sleep with many. There's her kind of, not wall, but that's where she stops. And she, even though she is sexual, she has a ton of self-confidence. She's not out there looking for love in all the wrong places. She's out there because she enjoys fooling around with people and the pleasure that she gets. So to me, that's a big difference. And although I think that, and she kind of maybe talks about how she might be, people assume that she's a little slutty, but she owns it. And she's not, that's where the dividing line is for her, is that she doesn't share all of herself. She herself has some pretty good walls that she has built around herself to protect herself. She has had some trauma in her life, understandably wanting to protect herself. She has had some great losses in her life. She doesn't allow them to define her, but she is aware that they have made her who she is, and she just is like, okay, like I know who I can let in and who I can't. And those people that she lets in, like Jessa and her sister, her own sister, Lana, she lets them in and they know her on a deep level. They have that connection. There are other people that she is, very bonded to and that she allows into her heart as well. And you have to pay attention with her when you're reading her about who those people are, because they're special. I loved how, and Dawn actually did this, she referred to them as Easter eggs. And I love picking up those little clues about when an author does that about certain people in the characters' lives and trying to figure out who's important to them and who's going to be a pivotal player. And I thought we were going one way with this book, and I got a big surprise about one of the characters. And I was just like, how do I describe this without spoiling it? I felt like I had a good grasp about Zoe and some people in her life from the previous books. But then I was completely surprised and taken aback when this character came in, and I was like, oh, whoa, wow, okay. And then we took a turn, and I really love that about Dawn's writing, because this book and her books are such full journeys. That's why I love them. I love all the emotion that she is able to bring out in me as a reader. And that's what I crave when I open a book, is a real life romance. As real as possible, it being a fiction book. But real life situations, real jobs, real family situations, all of that stuff is what I connect to. And Zoe had that. This book had that in spades, and I was so excited to know more about her. And it's mostly her perspective in this book. We do get somebody else's perspective mixed in there a little bit, but I just ate up knowing that I didn't know where the story was going. Zoe is fiercely independent, and she has a great family life. It's not like she's had to raise herself or anything like that. It's just who she is. When it comes down to it, there was two potential people for Zoe to settle down with. And she is a girl that doesn't really feel like she needs commitment in her life. I mean, she's just happy I don't want to say play in the field because that sounds bad, because it's so not bad. But you just wonder who's going to capture her heart. That there are two men that really do seem to have captured her heart in different ways, and one more so than the other. But I wondered who was going to come to play, who was really going to bring it and win her over. John was who I assumed was going to be it. Nolan was the one that took me by surprise. I was like, oh, I kind of loved that Nolan didn't roll over for her. And he was strong within himself. And I think in a lot of ways, John, you know, Zoe talks about that he's like, he's perfect, except for one thing that doesn't measure up. But he's really good at something else, so she gives him a pass. But I really, you know, between the two, until it was very decided, until you get to the point in the book where it's very decided and very obvious, I didn't know who it was going to be. Zoe never gave up herself. It's interesting because I did message, in full disclosure, I did message Dawn about this book after I finished it. And I just, you know, again, was kind of gushing about it and just telling her how much I appreciated it and how much I liked it, loved it. And this is what I said. I'm paraphrasing, but this is what I said. I appreciated her struggles, her honesty, and I liked how she owned her sexuality. She isn't one to get hung up on things, and I liked that Nolan didn't just roll over for her. So when I say she isn't one to get hung up on things, she just doesn't suffer fools. And she really is confident enough in herself as a woman and a person that she knows her worth. And I really liked that. And I really feel like it's something that I struggle about in my everyday life. I struggle with making sure that my voice is being heard. And her voice was always heard. And she made sure of that. But I was glad that she picked the one that would keep her being her and appreciated all those things about her. I, of course, highly recommend this book. I highly recommend the series, the Boston Beauties series. Remember, there's 3 books in the series. Give Dawn a chance. You will be absolutely blown away by her writing. I promise you. That being said, if you have read Dawn's books, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts on those books. Before you go, I would love for you to take a moment to subscribe to my channel and like the video. It really does help not only me, but the authors that I do the videos on to get better visibility on YouTube, which was the whole point in me starting my channel. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I'll see you soon.